Well, and then it's like, okay, you're looking at offensive weapons. How stacked is this team really? You were saying DK Metcalf, but after him, it's Calvin Austin the third.
Yeah,
who hasn't really done much, and then Robert Woods. So
and then at running back, you've got Kelvin,
Jalen Warren, and Caleb
Johnson. Excuse me. I mean, they both are intriguing. I'm intrigued by Johnson, but yeah, I mean, I think you go down the list of AFC teams, and like, I really think if they're ranking out of the top 7,
that's
which
4 right there.
We just ranked. Well, I mean, if you rank the Texans ahead of them, that's 5.
5 right there, so that's 6, and then maybe Bengal. I mean,
the tough part is the way the Bengals is. Their defense is so bad. I think they're going to have to. I could see the Steelers winning more than the Bengals this year, winning more games, but. Like I said, I think they're a fringe playoff contender. I just think I'd be shocked if they win a game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is a possibility if somehow they get 6th seed, which I doubt they will, and they play the 3rd seed, and if the 3rd seed happens to be, I think it's going to be, I think you're going to, 3rd seed in my vision, they might end up playing in their division.
Yeah.
Because to me, their 4th seed, in my opinion, is going to come from the AFC.
I don't think. South. The Ravens this year, and if we're, they're not winning the Ravens this year. If we're talking about season by season additions, the Ravens made. You had Jair Alexander, who they picked up, and already, way better.
Well, I think that it's realistic to say that the NFC South AFC South, is going to have the 4th overall seed. So if you're a 7th seed team, you're probably playing the Bills, the Chiefs, or the Ravens.
Yeah.
So do you really see them winning? God, it would be a huge win to win a playoff game against one of those teams.
I just don't think, you can justify. I know he's a big part of Steelers culture, but even last year you saw a little bit of turn, like for the first time you saw a turn from, if you even look on X, I would look for the first time ever, fans were starting to turn on Mike Tomlin a little bit. And we're starting to say, maybe this is the turn of the tide. Maybe this is where we move on. And they're keeping him for one more year. And it's looking like with all these additions,
they're not firing.
You don't think if they fire him?
They're not firing him mid-season.
Or maybe like
they're not
Bill Belichick, like amicable.
They're not firing him mid-season because the alternative is going to their OC. And their OC is, I firmly believe, is the reason why they're so bad. I firmly, Arthur Smith should not. I'm sorry, but his allegiance to certain players is absurd. And I don't feel like he's creative. I think he's probably one of the worst offensive.
Yeah.
I think people would argue with me because he was a really good offensive coordinator with the Titans. He was arguably one of the worst head coaches for the Falcons.
Yeah.
Terrible head coach. Maybe he's a good OC. Really remains to be seen in year 2 with the Steelers, but you can't fire Tomlin mid-season, and they're not going to. He's been with them long enough. I think they part ways up to the end of the year, unless for some reason Tomlin comes back and says, here's my game plan. So if they finish with the top 6 picks, which is possible if they win only 7 games, I think top 7. I think if they win less than 7 games, I think there's a chance they get top 6 pick. And depending on what the quarterbacks declare, you could end up only having to give up maybe 2 first-round picks to move up and a player. Yeah. So if that's the case, but the problem is they are an aging in many ways roster in some positions.
And do you want him to kickstart your rebuild?
Well, I think he's capable of kickstarting a rebuild, and he'll be on the market for less than a week. He'll be a very sought-after coach if he decides to stick with coaching for another couple of years, and he's still pretty young. But I think it's time to part ways, and I think we're going to get with another team that I think is also time to part ways. But I think it's time to part ways with Tomlin, not because he's not a good coach. I think he's a great coach. I just think his time with the Steelers is coming to an end unless we have a Jim Harbaugh kind of situation. And so I could see this year them going, okay, we've got to make a change at quarterback, clearly. Obviously, there's nobody waiting in the reins. They did that with Jim Harbaugh with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson and Joe Flacco was a similar situation. I remember them saying at the beginning of the year, we have agreed that we're going to part ways at the end of the year. Well, things change. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh's still there. John Harbaugh's still there. And so I could see that happening with the Steelers. They'll give Mike Tomlin one more chance. Look, you have an opportunity to draft a quarterback this year. We'll give you that quarterback. And I could see them saying, look, we're going to give this year. If you don't do anything this year with a young quarterback, we're moving ways. I could see them sticking with him one more year just because I don't know what other coaches are going to be on the market. But is this his last year? I probably have to argue that yes, unless something changes. Unless they surprise us all and they go, win a playoff game. And But then
Or
the
can
problem,
find a good
then
enough
the question is
scapegoat.
still, what do you do with Aaron Rodgers? Because
Yeah.
he's clearly said this is his last year. So we know that they're going to be in the market for a quarterback next year. And I doubt they're going to go like the Kirk Cousins route or a route of another veteran quarterback. And so then you got to ask yourself, is Mike Tomlin the person to kickstart this
exactly.
rebuild?